Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, who should be the MVP favorite, Carson Wentz or Tom Brady? Plus, Skip explains why he has a big problem with Dak Prescott lashing out at critics. And who deserves more blame in the fight between Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's start with the MVP debate. Carson Wentz and Tom Brady have set themselves apart in the MVP race. Both quarterbacks threw for 227 yards, and Wentz is just ahead of Brady for the league lead in touchdown passes. Wentz and the Eagles won their 9th straight yesterday and have the best record in football at 10-1. Brady and the Patriots won their 7th straight and are tied for the best record in the AFC at 9-2. Shannon, who should be the MVP?
Hold on, Joy. I mean, you said something very interesting. You said the Eagles have won. How many straight games you said? Straight. 9. And the Patriots have won how many straight? Pats have won 7 straight. Okay. So I just want to make sure. I mean, Vegas had this thing last week. Vegas said Wentz is the favorite. Now, all of a sudden, because Tom Brady did what to surpass him? Nothing. Wentz lead the league in touchdown passes. Skip, if you don't mind me asking, you love QBR. It's a stat that measures quarterback between 0 to 100, 50 being average. Can you tell the people at home who has the better quarterback rating currently?
So this is the first time you...
Hold on, Skip, I just...
Wait a second.
No.
I got to ask, do you have a cold?
Yes!
Because you keep sniffing.
Okay, my bad. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's his tell.
Okay.
Never
Skip.
play poker.
If you don't mind me asking...
The floor is yours. I don't want to talk.
No.
Am I supposed to answer or not?
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes. For the good people at home that do not have...
I have a long answer to that, but it's going to have to be my floor. Do you want me to take over the floor?
No.
Okay.
So for the people at home, because Skip, obviously, he wouldn't answer this question, the higher QB rating belongs to Carson Wentz, the guy that's thrown the most touchdown passes in the NFL this year.
Yep.
That also belongs to Carson Wentz. The team that scores the most points in the NFL, Carson Wentz happens to be the quarterback of that team. Ooh, let's see what else I got down here. Oh, you know what, Joe? Here's a very interesting stat, Joe. You're going to really like this. The last time that Carson Wentz have thrown more than 5 passes in the fourth quarter, we'd have to go all the way back to week 3. So in other words, when, come fourth quarter, Carson, normally he's turning it over to Nick Foles or he's just trying to run out the clock. Because the last 3 games, they won like about 27 points. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Cowboys, beat the brakes off the Cowboys. So Skip, 28 touchdowns. Leading in QBR, team has the best record. He has the most touchdown passes. He doesn't throw. He's not playing in the fourth quarter. I don't really know what Tom Brady could have done yesterday that would leapfrog him.
Oh, I can tell you a whole lot.
But in my estimation, it is Carson Wentz because everybody picked the Philadelphia Eagles to finish last in the NFC East. And will they win on Sunday? Well, how about this here?
How about a loss on Thursday?
Cowboys lose, which I expect them to do on Thursday.
I do too.
The NFC East belongs.
Joy, for the record, I gave a concession speak 2 weeks ago and said it's over.
Yeah, because what you tried to do, this is what I've learned from Skip, and I've done my homework and research. What he tries to do is he tries to drain the toxicity of your argument. I conceded. You didn't have to concede.
I was way ahead of you on
You know
this
what? Like Jay Ajayi said, he made the Cowboys quit. Like the Chargers said on Thanksgiving, they made them quit. They made you give that speech. You didn't voluntarily give
it before either one of those games.
It's over. Over.
I already said that. You're repeating what I said. Thank you for repeating my case. I appreciate that.
Now make your case.
Is that it? Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, first of all, I must say, for the record, this question should be so offensive to Tom Brady that he's even having to occupy the same sentence with Carson Wentz, a second-year quarterback who had to have his delivery completely rebuilt in the offseason.
What difference does that make?
He was horrible last year. 16 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. He had a QBR under 50 last year, which was 49.4.
Dak's going to be there this year.
Yeah. He will not be there. Want to bet on that? Okay, I'll bet you 2 cases of Diet Mountain Dew.
I've already got my case.
Okay,
I've already got my cases.
We shut him up on that one very quickly. So, to your point, Tom Brady will never win MVP again because he's won 2 so far in 2007 and 2010, and it's Jordan-esque because Michael Jordan, as we know, could have won every year, and now Tom Brady is having an MVP season. He should be the runaway MVP given his degree of difficulty over Carson Wentz.
Why is it so difficult?
Everything is difficult. Let's start with the game yesterday, and thank you very much for bringing this up. Carson Wentz yesterday was up against Mitchell Trubisky. And if I can use QBR once again on this show, Mitchell Trubisky had a QBR, and remember, it goes from 0 to 100 of 0.3. That was the lowest QBR in the NFL for this entire season, a 0.3. So that was your competition yesterday. Walk it to him, Pennsylvania, whatever you call him.
Walk it to him.
And the Chicago Bears failed to register a first down until the third quarter of the football game. So it's not like he was up against any kind of opposition. And you're actually putting stock in his QBR. What do you have, like a 90-something? He should have had a 100 yesterday against the Bears.
Okay, and so if you don't mind me asking, the Dolphins quarterback was Matt Moore, who instead of letting him get the starting job once the starting quarterback tore his knee, they got a guy out of retirement that was doing broadcasting.
Matt Moore is a credible backup quarterback. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Who's had some nice moments in this league before, and he did have a QBR for what it was worth yesterday of 32, so he actually completed some passes and actually threw a touchdown pass and made a few first downs in that game. But meanwhile, his defense, as always, made it really hard on Tom Brady because Tom Brady was down not 1, but 2 starters in his offensive line, starting with the center, David Andrews, and going over to the right tackle, Marcus Cannon. You're down 2 starters against a pass rush that has terrorized you in the past, mostly in Miami, but often in Foxborough. And what did they do to Tom Brady yesterday in that game? They knocked him down 8 times, 8 knockdowns in that game of Tom Brady. And as you've said all year long, you said after the first 4 or 5 games, you said he's taking way too much punishment. And he was taking it again yesterday because Cameron Wake knocked him down 5 times and Sue got him 1 big time and just shoved him down and whiplashed him. His head whiplashed against the turf. It got so bad that Bill Belichick was asked after the game why he didn't pull Tom Brady someplace in the fourth quarter just to protect him from that pass rush. That was the degree of difficulty in a game in which Tom Brady threw not 1, 2, or 3. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He did have an interception because the wind was galing yesterday in Foxborough, and he threw one over the middle that blew left and blew right into the hands of a Dolphin.
So was it blowing for Miami, or was it just windy on his side?
Yeah, and as perfectly as Carson Wentz played, and now we got to do some nitpicks here, could we please see the one throw that Carson Wentz did make late in the third quarter? I'd like to see. Ooh, that was a nice throw by Tom Brady. Here's Carson Wentz on his 90 QBR day. What? Wait, he threw it right to 39. That's that kid from Alabama, that Eddie Jackson, the rookie they took in the 4th round. What, Eddie Jackson's a 4th round pick? You got to catch this.
Hold on.
Wait, that's an interception. That could have been a pick 6.
Whoa.
Hold on. What happened, Shannon Sharp? How do you defend walk it to him? Did he walk it right to Eddie Jackson?
I'm listening. Carson.
Remember, that's an St. Nick kid.
Carson Wentz was 23 of 36 for 227, 3 touchdowns. I'm looking in the interception column. I see 0.
He hit the guy right in the hands. He hit a bear for a pick 6 right in the hands. But this is the woeful Bears.
Did he or did he not make the interception? Yes or no? We don't go by Mason. Okay,
but he should have made it.
Oh, he should have.
So once again, Tom Brady was sensational in the first half when he needed to be, when he went 14 or 20 for 183 in the first half and 2 touchdowns. Then he threw 2 more in the second half. And they held off a very game division rival that always plays them tough. Always play. The Bears in the NFC East now? I forget. But anyway, I don't think so. So once again, we have a Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles with you front-running and driving their bandwagon in what is looking to be a meant-to-be year in which nothing goes wrong. And every once in a while, we see a team come out of nowhere, out of left field, out of the bottom of the NFC East. As you say, you didn't call it, but you're now driving the bandwagon. The Eagles have had 0 adversity. It's all been great. It's
left
so
tackle,
great.
What about left tackle being hurt?
Well, again, they had Big V, who played right tackle all last year. And it looks like, I think he's just stonewalling the left side. In fact, I think Big V might be better
Skip,
than
stop
Peters
playing.
is. Seriously.
So why wasn't he starting over Peters if he's better? Because the coach's job and the team's job is to put the best 11 on the field at a given time.
Peters is going to get his job back. I'm serious about that. They look like they're stout over there.
Oh.
He is the player.
What is big? Okay.
Is he Chaz Green?
I'm talking
Byron Bell.
First of all, Skip, don't even mention the Cowboys. They're done, as I said they would. This is this is a Carson Wentz, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Hold on.
You're the one who keeps bringing up the Cowboys.
Which team, if you don't mind me asking, which team leads the NFL in scoring?
These guys do. Everything is
I don't know who those these are. Who is these?
These guys.
Who is these guys?
I don't know who they played because they keep winning by double digits. And again, in fourth quarter comebacks, Carson Wentz actually has one fourth quarter comeback. Guess who it was against? The Giants, who got eliminated from the playoffs yesterday, while the Giants were scoring 24 fourth quarter points at Philadelphia. I still can't get that to compute. I don't know how that happened.
Yes.
But it took Carson Wentz, after a terrible punt by Brad Wing that went only 28 yards, Carson Wentz had to complete only one ball, a quick 19-yarder, and his little kicker kicked it from 61 yards to win the game. That qualified as a fourth quarter comeback for Carson Wentz. Not exactly Brady-esque.
How many quick 19-yarders did your guy complete on Thursday? Oh, never mind. That's neither here nor there.
Do you remember what happened, Tom Brady versus Deshaun Watson? Do you remember the walk-off throw to Brandon Cooks from 23 yards away? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was 23 seconds,
do you remember
25 yards?
Do you remember what Carson Wentz did in Carolina? Do you remember?
I don't remember any comebacks.
They
just won the game. They were just better than a Carolina team that I think is very overrated. The Carolina Panthers should have lost to the Jets yesterday.
Can you tell me what the
should have.
Can you tell me what the Carolina Panthers did in Foxborough, Massachusetts, about 6 weeks ago?
Do you need a Kleenex?
I'm just asking you a question, Skip. Can you tell me what?
Are you crying because you're losing this argument?
Skip,
I don't know.
Skip,
it's one or the
other. How
other.
am I losing? You're talking about the guy doesn't deserve to be in the same conversation. He has more touchdowns, a better QBR. His team is better. They score more points. What more do you need him to do?
All year long, Tom Brady had to overcome a defense that until just this week has ranked dead last in yards allowed.
Hold on.
And the Eagles right now are third in points allowed. That's pretty great. So they're first in offense and they're third in defense. Does he have to overcome his defense? I think not.
Hold on. The Patriots, this is what I'm looking at. Steve was on vacation. He went to Colorado, him and his wife. They had a lovely evening, time. He was telling me about it. He was calling and say, Shannon, it's great up here in Boulder.
I think he did extra work.
Whoa! It's funny, Joe. I'm looking at my stats and it says the Patriots have the number one scoring defense since week 5, in which they've allowed no team to score more than 17 points. Here we are. Hold on, Skip. Hold on.
They're now 11th in points allowed. Did he tell you that? 11th for the year. How about the first 5 games in which Tom Brady had to keep it upright, had to overcome a disastrous defense that was on pace to be the record worst in the history of pro football.
So why didn't he keep it upright against Kansas City and Carolina, if he's the guy you say he is?
Yeah. Because he had to overcome Deshaun Watson. How about that?
A rookie? He had to overcome a rookie?
He had to go down to New Orleans and outgun Drew Brees when I told you that New Orleans defense is pretty good. You said, they're historically bad.
The guy that Jared Goff outdid yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's neither here. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that. See, what you're trying to do, I know what you're trying to do, Skip. You're trying to put the onus. Oh, he's 40 years old. He's 40 years old.
No, I didn't say that. You said that.
I don't care
how old he is.
You don't get extra credit. Skip, they play in the AFC East. The AFC East.
Well, look what's happened to the NFC East.
Look
at it. It's just in shambles.
He destroyed it.
He destroyed it. They destroyed themselves.
Guess what?
Right? They all self-destruct.
And guess what is going to happen, Skip? Your guy's going to have to deal with that guy for the next 12, and he ain't going nowhere.
Well, let's look at what number 12 did for the Patriots this year. He lost his best receiver in Julian Edelman, and now he's lost arguably his second best receiver in Chris Hogan.
Gronk is their best receiver, so stop it.
He's hit and miss. He's been in and out of the lineup. I'm never sure about him. No Malcolm Mitchell for the whole year. And now Martellus Bennett, who they just picked up, looks like he's got that shoulder issue, and he just might be gone for a while. So forget about him. They had one other big free agent signee, a la Alshon Jeffrey, that Carson Wentz got. And that was Dwayne Allen, their big tight end signee. He's now caught a total of 4 passes this year, and I think would rank as a near bust. Mike Gillislee was their big running back signing, a la LeGarrette Blount, and then Jay Ajayi in Philadelphia. And what's happened to Mike Gillislee? 3 straight games now, he has been a healthy scratch. He hasn't even dressed because I think that's starting to qualify as a bust.
Put it on the ground.
It's one injury after another for the Patriots, but 12 keeps them upright because yesterday they lost Nate Ebner, who's their special teams star, and they lost two key players on defense. Hey, Nate Ebner's
we're talking about special teams now.
We are.
Not the kicker, not the punter.
As any coach will tell you, it's exactly a third of the equation. And they lost 2 key players on defense, Trey Flowers, who's leading them in sacks, and Kyle Van Noy, who's become their Ninkovich this year. Lost them both. Guess what? Tom Brady keeps throwing touchdown passes. He had 4 yesterday to Wentz's 3. And
he played in the fourth quarter, which Wentz does not.
He just handed off in the fourth quarter. That's all he did because they wanted to keep him out of harm's way.
You do know 7.
He doesn't get protected. Wentz stands back there. I watched the whole game yesterday. He stands and he stands and he stands. Let's see.
So how was,
No, I'm going to throw it to Torrey Holt this time. No, wait a minute. Aguilar.
Torrey Smith. Yeah. But let me ask you a question. Why didn't you? What was he doing in Denver when Tom Brady was patting the ball?
Who?
Tom Brady in Denver. How many times
the ball?
Yeah, he's right there. Oh, let's see. I want to throw it to Gronk. No, I think I want Cook. No, let me check it down to James White. Oh, let's see. He go bing, bing, bing. Oh, what happened?
You know what? This is meant to be for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're going to get theirs. It might not take, it might be until the very end, but they're now on pace to have 2 home games. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be the Saints. It could be the Vikings. It could be anybody. 2 home games to get to the Super Bowl. And guess what? You are going to be stuck with rooting and picking Carson Wentz in the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. Are you ready for that?
No.
I'm going to be way ahead of the curve. I'm going to declare it early right here on Undisputed. Shannon Sharp has backed himself into the Carson Wentz corner. It is coming. It is coming. The Patriots are coming for you. Tom Brady is coming for you.
What I love about you, Skip?
What are you going to do? Are you going to pick Carson Wentz in the Super Bowl?
I love this about you because we're supposed to be debating the MVP. And when when you're doing individual awards, it still comes down to stats. But you notice Skip didn't give any of Tom Brady's stats.
I did too.
What'd you give?
He's up to 26-3. Who has the better touchdown to interception ratio?
Which one is better? Which one is more, 28 or 26?
Well, okay, I'll give you 2 more.
Okay, what about the QBR? Yeah. Who has the better QBR?
Slightly better. This is the first time. This is the first time. He's 1 point better. 1 point better. I'll give you that.
No.
Who had the higher degree of difficulty yesterday? Answer me.
Which team?
Answer me. Who had the higher degree of difficulty
yesterday? You're playing Matt Moore.
You can't.
What did they think of Matt Moore?
You're playing Mitchell Trubisky.
What did they think of Matt Moore? So
he had a 91 QBR and got away with that interception that would have killed his QBR. That would have dropped it 10 points right there.
I don't know what would have happened. I know what did happen.
What is it about what happens to these Nick Saban DBs when they get to pro football? What happens?
Can you tell me?
I don't get it.
Okay, Tom Brady.
How can Eddie Jackson miss a pick six?
I get it. You keep telling me that the Patriots defense has been terrible. Okay, they have Tom Brady all year. Why aren't they leading the league in scoring then?
Well, they're way up there in yards. Aren't they leading in yards games? I think they are.
What game do you win with yards? You win with points. The question is, why are the Eagles leading the league in scoring and not Tom Brady Patriots?
Because Wentz has the ball more than Tom Brady because his defense takes the ball away a lot faster than the other defense.
Really?
The other defense is bend but don't break. You want to do time of possession? Who's had the ball more between Philadelphia and New England?
Skip.
I'll do that.
No, Skip. It doesn't. How much time does Tom Brady need? You tell me Tom Brady can just carve up everybody. Get to it. Just
greatest quarterback ever. So right here, right now, I want the prediction. If it does come to the Super Bowl in Minneapolis, Philadelphia versus New England, who you got?
No,
you got Pennsylvania?
I'm just trying to.
He's from up there. He's from North Dakota, so it's nearby. He'll feel like he's right at home in Minneapolis.
Look, if you don't mind me asking,
take him. I dare you.
How does Brandon Cooks look for the Patriots?
Yeah, not bad.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the combination of Aguilar and Torrey Smith
Really, Skip? Really, Skip?
How about Alshon? He's wearing a Jordan jersey in the locker room to rub it in on Chicago for letting him go, and I guess he's saying that he was the Michael Jordan of the NFL and that Chicago let him go. I guess that's the Philadelphia Eagles right now. What? That's their arrogance.
And
that's their front running.
They hit it with that bust out.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, they would take that thing to the left.
They got it all going, man. This is their year.
They're electric.
They got it all going. And they got the greatest front-running bus driver.
Wow, Skip,
Was that your electric slide?
Skip, that was an unnecessary cheap shot.
Why?
That was an unnecessary cheap
Sean
shot.
Jeffrey wearing a 23 jersey. You
Why?
believe in that? You believe in that?
What? So you can't.
So now Philly has got the Michael Jordan of the NFL. Well, then it's over, man.
No, all I'm saying is that I was way ahead of the curve because you remember last year when we were having this conversation.
No, I don't.
And I told you, I never told you Wentz was better than you know who. So now all of a sudden I'm on his bandwagon now because he's doing exactly what I knew he would do once they got him some weapons.
Okay, well, if you say he's better than Tom Brady, pick him right now. Make an early Super Bowl pick.
MVP.
If it comes down to New England versus Philly, who you got?
I got the MVP, Carson Wentz.
Okay, good.
Look how he
You just
hold
picked
that ball.
it. You picked
No,
it.
I picked Carson Wentz to win the MVP.
Okay,
That's
but you're
what
not
we
picking
got.
him in the Super Bowl?
That's
Come on.
That's so
You
far
picked
away.
the MVP in the Super Bowl last year.
That's so far
Yeah, you
away.
had him.
Yeah, that's so
You
far
got-
away.
In fact, you've got inside scoop on this. You had it last year on Matt Ryan. Maybe you already know it's over.
Skip.
Maybe they've already
I
voted
had no
Carson
inside
Wentz.
scoop. Skip.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not.
you did. It's
but
okay.
I
okay.
used to be a voter. I understand the criteria in which they use.
Well, it might already be over. The ballots might already be in.
Ain't no ballots
It's
in.
Carson Wentz because there's too much Brady hate. There's too much jealousy. There's too much resentment. There's no way he's going to win when he should be running away with the MVP.
Okay, but you still haven't told us why.
I already told you.
Why?
His degree of difficulty. Look at all the things he's lost.
Hold on,
Nothing's gone wrong. Has there been any adversity in Philadelphia?
Is he platform diving or is he doing the vault? Because this degree of difficulty, that only matters in gymnastics and ice skating. No, Skip, look at this man. 6'4"
So that's
from
all
North
you
Dakota.
got? Look at this man? I don't need to look at my man.
Well, it'll be a nice test for the Eagles because they have Seattle next week, 3 games in the row.
Yeah,
up.
look, it's broken. So there's no Richard Sherman, there's no Cam Chancellor,
Whoa!
no Cliff Averill. It's just come on.
Whoa. I mean, look at Miami. No Dan Marino, no Dwight Stevens.
No mercy. Let's get to the 5-6 Cowboys. They're struggling on offense, and a lot of the blame is falling on Dak Prescott. Dallas has lost 3 straight without Ezekiel Elliott, and Dak has 8 turnovers and 0 touchdown passes in that span. Yesterday, he responded to his critics. Let's take a listen.
Keep questioning me. I mean, obviously, if you're questioning me, you don't know me and you don't know what I'm about. So keep questioning me. Sure, have fun at it.
How strong can you admit this off because of this?
I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. It's shocking. Like I said, you look around and you see the Pro Bowlers and the talent that you have. It's almost lost at words of why it's happening. But it just shows you that this game's tough. I mean, it's tough week in and week out, no matter who you play, and that's what makes the NFL great.
Shannon, do you like that Dak said this?
I don't have a problem with what he said. I don't like what I'm seeing on the field. Of course you're going to get gassed. I mean, he was a 4th-round draft pick. He was doubted from the beginning. In his mind, he thinks he should have been a 1st-round draft pick. The same thing that happened with Tom Brady. Tom Brady still has that chip on his shoulder. He was a 6th-round draft pick. All these other quarterbacks went in front of him. Drew Brees, this is the way it is. But at the end of the day, you got to update your resume, bro. Only you and Skip Bayless get to live on last year. That has no bearing on what's going on this year. Because, 26-5, Joy, 26-5. He won 11 straight, Joy, and had it not been for the last game in which he set out, Matt Ryan passed him at the end, but he would have had the #1 QBR. This is the NFL. Update your resume. And you don't get to do it yearly. You do it weekly. So from game to game, baby, hey, them 3 touchdowns you had last week, that was good. Gets you another start. What'd you do this week? So I got no problem with him saying, I understand he has a chip. I was a late-round draft pick, and I always felt I had to prove. But once I got there, I didn't rest like, okay, now I made it. I'm starting now. I've been to the Pro Bowl, been an All-Pro. No, I felt I constantly had to justify my place as a starting tight end, be it with the Ravens or the Broncos. And so I get what he's saying. They questioned Tom Brady after a bad game. The first half, they were questioning Tom Brady. You remember a couple of years ago, Skip, in Kansas City. Man, Tom, he need to go on and shut this thing down. Man, it's over for Tom Brady. Man, Tom Brady, even in the first game of the year. Like, what happened to Tom? I mean, Tom, oh, my goodness, Tom. So what, Dak? I mean, what, you think you play for the Cowboys? You on the biggest stage playing quarterback in that market? You're not going to get guessed? Second guess? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to continuously do it. Because you know why? There's a guy up in the Northeast, up in Philly. Fly, Eagles,
Wait,
fly.
you just said previously this is not a Cowboy topic, and now you've made this an Eagle topic.
I'm just saying, Skip. We're going to question Dak until he starts playing better. But I told you this was going to happen. Only you believe that he was the one actually driving this train. No, it's just when they shot the pictures, like, you know, they got actors. Those actors don't really do those stunts, Joy. They're like, cut! And then they bring the stunt double in there, and then he, boom, car goes off the building. And then when you see it at the bottom, you see the actor in there. He laid it. That's what you see right now, Skip, is Zeke. That drives this train. And right now, he's on a 6-week vacation. And the guy that you see driving the front train now in the movies,
Help me out. Did Zeke play against the Rams and the Packers? I think he was there.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
yeah.
Oh, but Sean Lee wasn't there. So was Zeke driving the train to the W? No, they lost.
What the offense look like?
God.
What did the offense look like? What did Dak number look? What did Dak number look like with those guys when he was in the game?
First half it was great. In the second half it was gone.
Okay, now he looks like trash. First half, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Can't even get to overtime because they already losing by 30.
And by the way, to the gratuitous shot you took at me in your opening salvo,
What?
I update my resume, as any astute viewer knows, every topic every day on this show, and I've updated it already 3 times on this show.
For what?
3-0 so far. So now to this question. Yes,
No.
I am. So, to your question, I have a big problem with what Dak Prescott said yesterday. I do.
Got a problem with Dak?
This is the first time I've been extremely disappointed in anything that Dak Prescott said, because I routinely on this show, as everybody knows, I compliment him and defend him for always saying the right thing at the right time. This was the wrong thing at the worst time, and the first big sign this team has come completely apart because even its leader is losing it.
Why would he?
It is imploding around its leader. This is the time you have to step up and shake off anything personal, because he made it about himself. He said, go ahead, keep questioning me. Obviously, if you're questioning me, you don't know me, you don't know what I'm about. Well, any critic can question his play without knowing him personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And
So
that's what they're doing, Skip.
that's just what it is.
Yes.
That's how the game is played on and off the field in the National Football League. That's what it is.
They didn't say he was a bad person.
No,
they
they
said
did
he
not.
playing bad quarterback.
That's correct. So what he should have said, I'm just going to throw this out as the words I would have used. All I know is we're working harder than ever to get ready for Thursday night against our arch rival within the division, and we plan to defend our home turf at Jerry World. That's what he should have said.
Yes.
And instead, it got under his skin a little bit, and you could see it got to him.
Of course.
And I don't love this, because I do love this kid, and he is still a kid, and I'm going to defend him on this. Until just 3 games ago, he was on an historic pace of touchdowns to turnovers. Touchdowns created versus total turnovers. He was number 1 all time. Again, not a huge sample size, but 25 games is a pretty good sample size. And I'm going to say it one more time. 5 games without Sean Lee, and in the second halves, they've been outscored 114-22. I'm not going to put that on Dak's doorstep completely. He deserves some blame, but he's got to take the fallout from this, and he's got to be bigger than this. He's got to stand up to it and shake it off and smile it off and go forward.
He plays the position that when things go well, you get all the praise. But when things go bad, they're going to place all the blame on you. Because guess what, Skip? When you were a little boy and you signed up for football, they says, okay, everybody wants to play quarterback, go stand in that line. Running back, stand in that line. Offense, defensive line. So guess what line Dak Prescott went and stood in, Skip? The quarterback line. So because he wanted to be the guy. Okay, well, stand up there to it. As you mentioned, he was on a historical pace as far as touchdowns to turnovers. And then something happened on the way to the market. The commissioner said, Mr. Elliott, I need you to come to my office for 6 weeks.
And the injury god said, Mr. Lee, step aside.
Oh, okay, Skip. I get the Sean Lee, the 114. But what I can't get with Sean Lee, the offense in the 22.
You don't have the ball. Again, the last 2 games have been 19 minutes for the opponent in the second half to 11 minutes for Dak's offense. 19 to 11?
Joey, what was...
Woo! That's almost double.
Last Thursday was Thanksgiving, right? Hell, I thought it was Easter. Cowboys laying eggs all over the place. So so what happened to those 5 possessions?
Funny.
What happened to those 5 possessions they had in the first half, Skip? 5.
We're going to discuss Jason Garrett a little later in the show. I already told you what I said. I first guessed this. I said, against that offense, with that defense on the field, the Cowboy defense, no Sean Lee, I'm throwing it every time in the first half, trying to just jump out and get a lead. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, they tried that, Scale.
They did not.
They tried it.
They tried to establish the run with Alfred Morris.
They tried it in Atlanta. Huh? I mean, think about it, Skip. He got a 20-yard touchdown on the turnover. He ain't driven the ball yet. When the last time he been in the end zone?
Well, okay, but we're not talking about his performance. We talk about it. You got me there, but you don't have me here because I'm the one taking the bullet for Dak.
Why you taking?
I'm saying I don't like it.
But Skip, what is
I told you he changed the culture in the locker room from losing to winning.
No, Zeke did
in
that.
the wake of
Zeke did that.
No, he didn't.
If you know,
he's the leader of the locker room.
Whoa.
With all of his shenanigans off the field. Oh yeah.
But you remember when those Cowboys winning all those championships? Who's the leader of the locker room? Mike Irvin, with all those shenanigans, remember? Oh, okay. But I'm saying, though, hold on.
But I never said Troy was the leader of the locker room.
No.
I said Dak is the leader of the locker room.
Okay, but I'm saying he's the leader of the locker room. But the guy with the shenanigans is what makes everything once you get on the Skip. You know, sometimes it's a person that they don't show up to work all the
This guy
time.
had 23 touchdown passes to 4 interceptions last year.
And what's that looking like this year?
Yeah.
See, it's amazing because remember last year, I know a guy that got taken number 2 overall that was up in Philly, and he lost his right tackle for 10 games, and he had a host of injuries, and the receivers couldn't catch, and he didn't have a running game. And somebody told me that he's just inaccurate. He's just never going to be like that.
He is.
Now you flip it around, and he looked better than Dak ever looked.
Everything's breaking perfectly for Carson Wentz, and you're going to get yours because this league gets even.
Hold on.
You know what happens, and I know what happens.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Everything is breaking perfectly for Carson Wentz this year, like it did for Dak last year.
It did. Everything went right. I mean, this is the first time he's faced any adversity since Mississippi State. Real adversity. He was down 21-3 against Aaron Rodgers, and all he did was bring him back to 31-all with 300 yards passing. I'd say that'll work. I'm not sure that was much about Zeke.
If you don't mind me asking.
How much did Zeke have to do with that
Skip,
playoff game?
If you don't mind me asking, Skip, you're a lifeguard. I'm 50 feet out, and I'm drowning. You throw me a 40-foot rope. What the hell have you done? So what good is that comeback if they didn't win the game?
Well, did you see what Mason Crossbar did last night?
There you go.
Did you see that? At Pittsburgh, the turning point in that game was last night. He had a 57-yard field goal, and he missed it like by 30 yards left.
Skip.
And what did he do at Jerry World? He made it from 56 yards. Skip. How did that happen? It's pure luck.
You're talking about a controlled environment, indoors, as opposed to being 30 degrees in Pittsburgh.
And as they kept saying last night, there's really no wind tonight. Huh, interesting.
Yeah, but it's like kicking a brick. But no. I'm not talking about. We're not talking about no special teams guy. I mean, you done got more.
Won the game.
No. I'm talking about him.
Did Dak Prescott play well enough to win the game against Aaron Rodgers?
No, he did
300 plus yards passing.
No.
Yep.
Hold on.
Who had the better QBR? Dak did over Aaron Rodgers.
You know,
twice last year.
Now, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you. I want to get this on record. Last Thanksgiving, not this one, because they got the doors blown off him. Did Kirk Cousins, when he threw for 449 yards and 2 touchdowns, did he play well enough for Washington to win that game?
He did
yes
not.
or no?
He was 2 for 5 in the red zone. Dak was 4 for 4.
Exactly.
Dak had the better QBR.
Exactly. And just like Dak did not play well enough in that playoff game. He didn't play well enough this year. And he hasn't played well enough without Zeke.
So
Zeke,
last year,
freak.
the Cowboys defense was 5th overall in points allowed. What is it now? It's a disaster.
No mercy. Early in the first quarter of yesterday's Raiders-Broncos game, Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib got into it along the sideline. Both players then threw punches at each other and were ejected. This is not the first incident between these two. Last season, Talib ripped Michael Crabtree's chain off his neck, and yesterday he did the exact same thing. After the brawl, Talib went towards the Raiders sideline and was escorted to the locker room by Marshawn Lynch. Both coaches talked about the incident after the game. Let's take a listen.
I don't like it, and it's unacceptable. We can't lose our best players because of a personal battle. That's a personal battle. This is about the Broncos, so it's unacceptable. We can't have it. It's non-negotiable. And obviously losing one of our best players and playing a young guy, it hurt us tonight.
They have a little bit of a history with the chain snatching from years back, and I think there was an additional chain snatched, from what I understand. And bottom line is we can't afford to lose our one of our top receivers, and then our starting guard, because he went over there to help his buddy. We can't get 2 guys tossed like that.
We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez. Welcome back, Tony.
Hey, that's funny. That's funny stuff right there. It's like a little police report, huh? Additional change, snatching. I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about it.
Well, we're going to start with you. Who was more at fault, Talib or Crabtree?
Well, Crabtree. I mean, he's the one who started the whole thing. That unnecessary after-play stuff started the whole thing. And obviously it stems from what happened last year. But to me, what this says about what's going on in Crabtree's mind, I always try to, okay, what is he thinking there? Either he's thinking, you know what, maybe my team doesn't need me. Because once you throw punches, once you do that stuff, you know what's coming. You're going to get kicked out of the game. That's all there is to it. So he's thinking, my team doesn't need me. They can beat the Broncos without me. And then if I do get suspended for next week, they're playing the Giants. So maybe, I'll take it. I can fulfill my personal agenda. Or fulfilling his personal agenda. He's selfish. That's all there is to it. When you make that choice, that conscious choice to go after and start this melee, you know what's coming. You're going to get fined. He's probably going to get fined a lot of money. He might not play next week. But the worst part of it all is that now you're killing your team. You're handicapping your football team, which to me is the selfish thing to do. You've been working all week, all year. You still have a chance to win this AFC West. I don't understand it, but I understand the emotional part of the game. But for me, it's selfish, or he's really thinking ahead and saying, okay, this is a calculated move on his part. I'm going to go with the latter, though. I don't think he's just being selfish. He wasn't thinking.
Quick question.
And he hurt his team.
Did any DB ever get under your skin? Did anyone ever get to you?
Of course.
And you responded by doing what?
The thing that I would do little subtle things. I would underneath the pile type stuff like with the neck areas. I'm not going to throw punches because they're doing it to me. Now, you got to defend yourself. That's one thing. Deacon Jones, I know you love Deacon Jones. You know who Deacon Jones is? He don't know. Deacon Jones said, if you don't serve justice in this league, you're going to get kicked around. And I believe that. You can't go out there and be a punk. I learned that very young. We've talked about it before with Bill Romanowski. But you have to make that choice. Once you throw a punch, you are getting kicked out of the game. I would never do that because I want to play.
Shannon Sharp across the table is sitting there mouthing nothing, as in you never did anything to retaliate.
We already know, Skip, he ain't going to bust a grape in a fruit fight. So we already know what we're going to do to him. Romo did whatever he wanted. He wouldn't do nothing.
Romanowski.
Bill Romanowski. I wore a chain for 14 years, and ain't nobody dare snatch it off. Because guess what? I'd have got kicked out that game, and it'd have been done with. Because the next game, we wouldn't have had no issues because we decided right then and there. So I already know how I would have done it. We already know what he would have done, which is absolutely 1,000, 10,000, million, zillion % nothing. Come on, guys. We don't need this right now.
Can you defend yourself?
I don't need to. Sometimes it's like arguing with a little 7-year-old. I just let him talk.
Look, he got bracelets on. He want to go surfing. He want to be in Huntington Beach talking about Irie, bro. Hey, at the waves, I'm cool. I'm just mellow, man. I'm going to get the mat. I'm down at the beach.
Surfers don't like to be messed with. You can't just go surfing anywhere you want to.
First of all,
wait a second. I do think he shut a lot of people up just by catching touchdowns.
That's how I would touch it. Let's go catch a touchdown.
Hey, no, you put your hands on me. Don't worry. But anyway, we'll get back to him in a minute. Crabtree, because he punched Chris Harris Jr. in the stomach on the first play of the game. That started the whole thing. Now, maybe Talib was going to set it off anyway, and maybe that's what he needed to get him going. But once he saw Harris Jr. get punched in the stomach, and Chris pointed at him, well, you already knew what was happening. Once you go to the other side, and you start, okay, play is over with, official blow the whistle, Crabtree keeps it going. Well, Talib snatches the chain, and all over. Now we got 2016 all over again. And then they wouldn't stop. And this is where the NFL is going to jump in. Because once they got to shove it and the referee broke it up, okay, you're done. But then they re-engaged. That's what the league is going to frown upon. They don't want you fighting anyway. This is not hockey.
They basically took it outside during the game.
Right.
They just said, let's just go over here in the end zone and just do this.
Right, because you got like 25 guys over there talking and carrying on. And then you got these two guys out there by themselves still trying to throw blows. So this is a very bad look for the NFL.
It's a bad look.
I would be very, very shocked at a minimum of one game for both players. Crabtree's going to get fined for punching Chris Harris in the stomach. He's going to get fined for getting suspended from kicked out of the game, and I believe he and Talib will be suspended.
So to me, Jack Del Rio let this start last week when he lost control of his football team when they fired by scapegoating their defensive coordinator, Ken Norton Jr., who's beloved on that side of the ball. And all of a sudden, Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin said BS on Twitter. They posted that on Twitter, and they decided to mutiny, basically, and say, we will not practice tomorrow. And Jack Del Rio let both of them get away by defending them to the media by saying they both had a rest day. Really? A rest day? They haven't had a rest day all year.
So, you see their record? They've been resting. Look at their record.
Well, there you go. So then that gave a signal to Michael Crabtree that, we can just do whatever we want to do here. So he goes into this game, which, again, they're still barely afloat, but they're still afloat.
Yeah.
They came in 4-6, and Kansas City is just
free fall.
Unfortunately, it's a free fall. It's an ugly mess in Kansas City.
Like that.
I know, I got it. But here come the Raiders with a chance, and Michael Crabtree just said, no, this is going to be my stage and my game because I am going to get even with that guy, and I'm going to get even with that guy over there too.
Even though you had
I'm going to sucker punch him first, just to get even with all of them, because I'm sure they all talk a lot of noise to him because he has the thinnest skin you will find of the receivers in the National Football League. I've questioned his mental toughness even before the draft, and they know they can get to him. And they've gotten to him again and again, and it questions his manhood. So he just said, I'm going to fight back today. And I know he wanted to get thrown out of the game because, to your point, he's a smart player. Yeah. He can really catch it. He can play. He can run routes.
But think about it, Skip. If he's suspended next week, Cooper got knocked out of the game.
He did.
He was literally knocked out. He might not play this week. So now you're down your two top receivers.
Yep.
And you still have a chance to win this division, and you're going to probably have to go do it without your two top receivers. This was a very, very selfish move. This could have been handled. Look, what he should have done was retaliate last year. Once Talib snatched his chain, he should have chased Talib and dumped on him.
Can't you retaliate throughout the game, though?
I don't want to.
I know that I have him lined up over me for the rest of the game. I know every time it's a run play, I am coming to get you. I'm coming to get you, and I'm going to try to put you on your back.
Okay, but on that play, he blocked him all the way out of bounds. You can't do that.
But
within the whistle.
Yeah.
Within the whistle.
First of all, Skip, the man, you saw Friday. That's a Debo move.
Can't do it.
You snatched the man's chain.
Yeah.
And then he ran, and you didn't do you did like this. You supposed to chase him, shove him in his back, and when he turn around, don't sneak him in, shove him, and when he turn around, you slap the taste out of his mouth, right, bah!
With his helmet on?
With his helmet on.
Well, Crabtree actually...
Overhand.
But Crabtree got him. He actually got him through his face mask.
Right? He did the Three Stooges. Three Stooges move, poke the man in his eye.
Well, at least it was something.
That's what I really...
The helmet is supposed to protect you from concussions. How hard are you going to
how about this? Well, how about this here? Go up under the chin. What about go up under the chin?
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. But the straight-on jab makes nonsense.
Think about this, Joey. Oh, he going to line up over me. I'm going to block him. That man on TV snatching your chain. How many times you think they're going to show a pancake block, Skip, as opposed to somebody snatching your chain?
No, you have to do something right away.
Exactly.
But they will show you standing in the end zone with the touchdown, right?
What? No, I said Pittsburgh in me.
Pittsburgh in you, whatever it is. I'm just saying the true killers, I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back.
Look at it here. He got his hair all wavy. I'm going to get you back. He ain't going to, Joey, he ain't going to bump. He ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gonna do nothing talking.
Tony wants to do it between the lines.
You guys want to push you after the play, turn around? I'm not doing that. That's kiddie stuff. That's
the better
stuff.
Stats between you two.
I put up the better wins.
Oh.
He played 3 years longer and still don't have more wins than I do. 3.
Interesting.
How many is 3 years? That's 16 games plus a couple of playoffs, and he still doesn't have as many wins as I got.
Who stood in the end zone the most?
Oh, he did. Okay. But that didn't mean nothing. Yeah. I stood in the end zone with them. It didn't mean nothing. But I stood in the end zone for the championship games. You know the championship game, Joy? I'm in the end zone. Hey.
It's all right, Tony. If someone snatches your chain, I got your back.
I do an electric slide. Joy, go hit that electric slide after.
Shannon.
Joy and I go hit the electric slide. We celebrate when we win things.
No mercy. The Steelers kicked the last-second field goal to beat the Packers last night and win their 6th straight. Ben Roethlisberger threw 4 touchdown passes, and Le'Veon Bell had nearly 200 total yards. Antonio Brown added 2 touchdown catches and had a great catch with under 20 seconds left to set up the game-winning field goal. Pittsburgh is now tied with the Patriots for the best record in the AFC at 9-2. Let's take a listen to Big Ben after the game.
We're 9-2. they say it's ugly wins, this, that, and the other. We'll take the win. We didn't make all the plays. We turned the ball over. But you know what? You find a way to give Boz a chance at the end, and it's awesome. I'm happy for him.
We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings. Welcome, Greg.
Good morning.
Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. How big of a threat is Pittsburgh to New England in the AFC?
They are definitely a threat. I don't know how big of a threat, simply because their history with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the New England Patriots, they haven't had a tremendous amount of success, especially playing them on the road there in Foxborough. But when you have the weapons that the Pittsburgh Steelers have on offense specifically, you pose a threat to any team you play any given day. My issue yesterday, watching them yesterday, they had some breakdowns on their defense. They didn't play terrible, but they had some breakdowns on their defense that was pretty disappointing. You had in the first quarter, a screen pass by Hundley to Williams, who's Shazier. He's clearly in man-to-man. He's kind of showing a little bit, and he fails to get over and pick up that guy, the running back out of the backfield, and he goes for a long touchdown. Then in the secondary, you had some breakdowns. You let Randall Cobb in the first quarter, their first scoring drive, Green Bay's.
Or they just cross up the rail.
Yeah, you drop him on a wheel route as a number 2 guy, and you have no one covering him. You have these breakdowns. Then in the third quarter, Devontae Adams, a double move.
Wide open.
Wide open. You can't afford to do this. And then Big Ben throwing 2 interceptions, Le'Veon Bell putting the ball on the ground, 3 turnovers against the Green Bay Packers. You turn the ball over against the New England Patriots and give Tom Brady 3 more possessions, they will turn into
50
points. You cannot do this when you're playing against an elite quarterback like this and an elite team. And so these are my concerns with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but do they pose a threat? Absolutely.
0. They pose no threat. 0, absolutely none. Never, ever, ever, none, Skip. 0 threat. You know why? Because Coach Belichick's not going to let your best offensive weapon, which is Antonio Brown, beat him. They'll double him, and then they play 2-gap. So all that slow playing that Le'Veon like to pick his hole, it doesn't work. And look, Brady is 10-2 in his career against the Steelers. They won 8 or 9. They've already gone on the road and beat them twice in AFC Championship games in Pittsburgh. They do not fear this team. And the reason why is because Tom Brady has his way with this team defensively. He throws whatever he wants. They still don't have an answer to Gronk. They still have no answer to Gronk. And think about this, Skip. You're not going to believe this. And this is why they don't have a chance. Only one guy has thrown more interceptions than Ben Roethlisberger. Deshaun Kaiser. Think about that. Let that sink in. A rookie, only one with Cleveland. He's 14th in QBR. Now, let me tell you the teams they beat. They beat Cleveland by 3. They beat Indy by 3. They beat Green Bay by 3. You wouldn't take any of those quarterbacks. They have Aaron Rodgers last night. They wiped the floor with him. What you think Tom Brady's going to do?
I hear you, but when I look at the New England Patriots and I look at what the Pittsburgh Steelers pose as a threat, yes, will Belichick take away Antonio Brown? Of course. Mm-hmm. He's done it to every receiver that he's played against. But Le'Veon Bell, what he poses from not just the running back position rushing the football, but getting out in the flats, getting out. Mm-hmm. He caught a couple screens yesterday. Yeah. He is such a pass threat that he poses a problem. If they run their offense through Le'Veon Bell, they definitely pose a threat to the New England Patriots.
Also remind you, Tom Brady is 5-2 against the Steelers in Pittsburgh. And just this year, at age 40, Tom Brady is 4-0 away from Foxborough, just for the record. So he's doing okay.
Let me go. I'm not at all saying that they will beat the New England Patriots. I'm saying they pose a threat.
Yet, Mike Tomlin last week had the audacity to sit down with Tony Dungy for NBC for an interview that was run before the game and talk about how he's looking forward to December 17th because there will be fireworks in Pittsburgh when New England visits, and that it will decide where home field is for the AFC Championship game. And I was just shocked by that because I love Mike Tomlin, but, man, that's some guts now. That's breaking all the molds. That's all the coaching rules.
I played 14 years, and I had a lot of different coaches. I've never heard one coach says I'm looking down the road.
To that game, all the way
To any-
3 weeks?
You know, we played Kansas City.
Didn't matter if the next following week. Yeah.
I'm worried about the game next Sunday.
So I get it that he is haunted by New England. He's tormented by New England. Unfortunately, Antonio put him up live on Facebook as he was saying those blah, blah, blahs.
Yeah.
You know, they got a break on us because they got a head start on us to get ready for this game. And then they went to Foxborough and pretty much stunk it
And
up.
got the brakes beat off them.
They did. And to both of your points, since Joe Hayden went down at one corner, and I think he's down for good, if I'm understanding that right, you look over the last 3 weeks, they've given up passing touchdowns of 54 yards, 60, 61, 75, and 55 over these last 3 games. So they just get torched, to your points. Again, do they have firepower on their defense? Yeah. Do they have serious nuclear firepower on offense? Yes. But does it always click? Has it always been in sync all year? I keep saying something is missing here, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, but for Brett Hundley, I guess they were looking ahead to the Patriots because Brett Hundley looked a little like Aaron Rodgers last night, right? Because on just the third downs, the first 5 third downs that Brett Hundley faced at Pittsburgh last night, he threw for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns on the first 5 third downs. How can you do that?
Was that Brett Hundley or Brett Favre?
I don't know. I don't know.
And you go, hold on. You turned the ball over 3 times against Green Bay, and you got to fight for your life. They're down a lot of play. Matthews didn't play. They're down a lot of players. What the hell you think Tom Brady's going to do? You know, the one thing that you know when you play the New England Patriots, you do not give them extra possessions.
Absolutely.
It's hard enough stopping them on their own possessions. Now you shortchange yourself, turn that football over. If the Steelers have 1 turnover, they'll lose by a touchdown. They have 2, they'll lose by 2 touchdowns.
See, my issue is, and I still believe they pose a threat. They just can't allow Ben to carry this offense. It's not for him to do anymore. He's beyond that. I think they're better. They're more efficient. They're more sustainable as an offense when you run the offense through Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why you end up with 2 picks. Which is why he's almost leading the league in interceptions with passers who's thrown over 50 or 100 attempts. You can't rely on Ben to carry your team, which can he make plays? Absolutely. But you can't allow him to throw the ball 40-plus times and say, hey, Ben, we're riding your coattails.
Yeah.
So to me, this is a team that has been saying from the start of this year, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because they're just circling December 17th. We got to get even with them. We got to get the AFC Championship game in our place. And they just keep saying, well, it's the end of the game. Let's let Ben, Antonio, they'll figure this out. And last night, they did. They figured it out at the end. They make a couple of big plays. Antonio made a great catch over on the sideline. I'm still not sure he exactly got the right foot down before he got the ball.
He got that down.
I
don't know.
I don't know how you felt, Greg, but I like playing on the road in the championship games because all we need to do is get up 7 points, 10 points, and then the Boo Birds are going to come out. Then you start getting that doubt in your head. Because when you play at home and you lose, you got 85,000 fans disappointed, crying like, what happened? Y'all suck. Nah, man, look. You need to worry about next week and next week. And when New England show up on the schedule, worry about them then. I guarantee you, New England's not worried about Pittsburgh. I guarantee you, Coach Belichick is not, ooh, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with Le'Veon. Man, Big Ben, Antonio Brown. He's worried about, I don't know who's on their schedule next, but that's the most important game to him. And that's the way he approaches it. And I've only been around coaches that approach it like that.
I think they're at Buffalo, if memory serves.
Yeah.
They can clinch the East at Buffalo.
Did Buffalo go on the road in Kansas City?
They sure did.
Oh, they should. Oh, Peterman. I wonder if Nathan Peterman could. No.
I don't know.
You think Nathan Peterman could have won that? No, never mind.
I think we know the answer to that.
Right.
No mercy. Next up, it was a bizarre day at the University of Tennessee yesterday. They were all set to announce Greg Schiano as their next football coach, but they backed out of the deal after protests from fans and politicians on campus and on social media. Most of them cited Schiano's connection to Penn State during the Jerry Sandusky era as the reason. Schiano was an assistant at Penn State in the 90s and was accused to have witnessed Sandusky abusing a child, which Schiano has denied. Shannon, what are your thoughts?
Skip, I'm not here to relitigate what he did or didn't see with the Jerry Sandusky situation. Only he knows. Only Jerry Sandusky knows, and maybe the young man that was assaulted. So I'm not here for that. Skip, but this is what I know. This was a very bad situation, and one or two things didn't happen. Either Tennessee didn't fully vet this situation, or this Twitter mob got so large that it engulfed him, and they had to pull away. But I can tell you this: if that was Nick Saban, if that was Urban Meyer, this Twitter mob would have had nothing to say. They were unsure of this hire to begin with. I'm not so sure. When Chip Kelly pulled out, and maybe some of these other names behind the scenes pulled out, we got to get someone, Skip. He is a fairly big name. He's at Ohio State. I think he's the D-line coach. He's done a great job, but it's easy to coach when the only thing you're coaching is 4- and 5-star D-line recruits, and a lot of those guys are going to be in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. But what I'm starting to see, Skip, and I don't know if you've noticed this, the further a coach get away from coaching, the better his resume look. Do they not remember what happened in Tampa?
Pro football. Didn't belong in pro football.
Okay, how about this?
You remember what happened at Rutgers?
Yeah, but when has the Big East ever been compared to the SEC?
Well, he only made Rutgers into such a quality program that it became Big Ten worthy, right? And they went to bowls 6 of his last 7 years there.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
And how many games have Rutgers won in the Big Ten?
Well, he's not there anymore, obviously.
Well, you might think he's a good hire, and maybe he will be.
I think he's a good coach. I don't know if he's a great head coach, but Bill Belichick swears by him and often drafted a whole bunch of his players.
What you notice? Belichick didn't hire him on his staff. He was free. Belichick, he brought back Josh McDaniels. He could have hired him. He could have hired him. He could have hired him on his staff. The guy was without a job, didn't have no place to go. If Coach Belichick thinks so highly of him, give him a job. Because let me tell you what.
He's spoken highly of him.
Well, I don't know about you, Joe, but this is how I do it. If I'm in a situation and I can hire one of my friends falling on hard times, I'm going to hire him. I'm going to give him a job. I can do that.
Maybe he thought that he belonged in college football as opposed to being too much of a disciplinarian for the Tampa Bay Bucks in pro football.
But hey.
Right?
Well, maybe Tennessee, look, and now you got lawmakers and you got representatives, you get alumni getting involved.
Everybody.
See, Skip, first of all, I hate when Congress get involved with stuff like this, because with all the stuff they got going on in their house, why are you sweeping up stuff? Why are you trying to clean somebody else's house and your house like a pig pen? You worry about what you got going on. Don't worry about this. Let Tennessee, the board, the athletic department, or whomever else that needs to handle this situation, let them handle that. I want Congress and all these other people to stay out of this kind of stuff. But Skip, I believe, and I think you and I don't know where you're going, but if this was a slam dunk hire, Greg Schiano is doing a press conference today at Neyland Stadium or at the Hall or Peyton Manning building or whatever it is. He's doing a press conference being introduced as the new head football coach of the University of Tennessee. But because they're unsure and this Twitter mob engulfed this situation, Tennessee had no choice but to pull back.
Although I hate to even do the hypothetical, but if Saban or Urban Meyer had this incident on their record dating back to being a graduate assistant at Penn State back in the early 90s, would it have come up? I don't know. Probably would come up.
With five national championships and 3 national championships,
you're right.
They would love to have that.
No, I agree with you. Which is why, in the end, I must conclude that I found this backlash, this one-day back. It only happened like overnight into Sunday, but this backlash on the part of Tennessee students, alums, and then many politicians just piled on.
And what they wrote on the rock, Skip. I mean, in 8 hours, Skip, it blew up my timeline.
I found it all terribly irresponsible. And I realized that a lot of the Tennessee fans had their hearts set all along on John Gruden, which I thought was pie-in-the-sky long shot. And I know they had hit bottom, and I must bring this up because the arch rivalry is with my school, which had a terrible year, Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt went to Tennessee on Saturday and scored 21 points in the fourth quarter to win the game 42-24. That was Vandy's first conference win this year, so they went 1-7 in conference. And Tennessee fell to 0-8 in conference, so they have all sort of hit rock bottom.
Right.
So the mood was angry already that this erupted from.
Mm-hmm.
And let's also go back. You talk about this classic sort of lynch mob mentality. Let's try to bring a little bit of perspective to this and remind everybody that Greg Schiano, his last year at Penn State was 1995, where he was first a graduate assistant, then the DB coach, and he left in 1995. Mike McQuarrie's first year at Penn State as an assistant coach wasn't until 2004.
Right.
They crossed paths briefly when McCreary was a backup quarterback, okay? So we all came to know Mike McQueary, unfortunately, through the testimony of 2010, in which he said he had seen Sandusky sexually abuse a 10-year-old boy in the shower. So that's where it all started from. But over the next few years after 2010, Mike McQueary testified for hour upon hour upon hour in multiple trials involving this case.
Right.
And not once did he ever bring up the fact that he had heard secondhand that Greg Schiano had also witnessed a similar incident. Never came up, not until 2015, long after, in which he was just doing a deposition for an insurance case that involved this whole incident.
This lawsuit, yeah,
and that's when he brought up on the fly, he volunteered that he had heard that sometime long before he got there as an assistant, back in the early 90s, he had heard that Greg Schiano had witnessed a similar incident and had gone in white as a ghost to his defensive coordinator at the time, Tom Bradley, who was with Jim Moore until Saturday night at UCLA, and that Schiano had also seen a similar incident. Well, it seems odd to me that Mike McQueary would never bring that up.
Right.
All of his testimony went on for years in the other lawsuits, okay? And from there, you look at Schiano and Tom Bradley vehemently denied this, just shot it down and said neither of them had any idea that this was going on. Both
Greg
of them.
Schiano should sue Mike McQuery.
Well,
I would sue his ass.
Okay. It's a strong statement to make, and both Urban Meyer came out and defended Schiano's character on this, and then Jimmy Moore had to defend Tom Bradley's character on this. This is going back a year ago. It didn't make big headlines, but they both spoke out for them. And for the record, not once did any of the victims testify that, oh, Greg Schiano or some assistant saw, you know.
Skip, this is irreparable harm.
Yeah. Well,
he just lost a job because somebody said they heard. So basically, secondhand.
It's really a third-hand hearsay that wouldn't stand up in a court of law.
Exactly. And so he's already lost one job.
Yeah.
Now, who's to say that how many other jobs? Because I guess until this came out, because clearly, if this happened in '95 and he brought this up, he was the head coach of Tampa. Well, I guess, you know what? He was fired by then, Skip. Yeah. So theoretically, it wouldn't have come up that McQueary said what he had heard.
He was at Ohio State when it came up.
So, man,
so let's do the hypothetical. Let's say it did happen, which certainly could have happened. So Schiano did, by the letter of the law, what you're supposed to do in this circumstance.
Go tell a superior.
He went to his immediate superior, the defensive coordinator, Tom Bradley, and said, white as a ghost, guess what I just saw? So, well, can you then condemn him for covering up child rape if, in fact, he went to his superior? I don't know that you can leap to that conclusion.
No, I can't leap and say he did. I can't. Not behind hearsay. Behind hearsay, I just can't leap to the conclusion. Well, because hearsay, and if he did see it, he did what he was supposed to do. No, I can't go there, Skip.
Okay.
Because that's one thing. I mean, to put that burden on this man. No, forget what you think of him as a coach. Forget what you think of him as a person. Man, you can't put that kind of cape on somebody like that, Skip.
I agree. So now you step back and you look at what's going on at Tennessee, and I get it that the mere hint of impropriety involving Greg Schiano, I can see where they said we're out, because they just went through several scandals. But remember, they had the scandal going on last year. The school reached a settlement of a federal lawsuit brought by a group of women on the way it handled their allegations of sexual assault in what they said was a quote-unquote hostile sexual environment at the University of Tennessee. So they reached a settlement there, and it was a black eye for the university, along with the Peyton Manning versus the female trainer incident that went on, and it came back up during the Super Bowl week and thereafter. And that was a black eye for the university. So they've got these hanging over them. So I get why they'd say, boy, if he has even the hint of this in his background, we can't go there. So I get that. But to condemn him as condoning and covering up child rape?
Off of third person knowledge, no fact, nothing. And he, like I said, I'm suing McQueary. The money that he got from Penn State, from whistleblower or whatever he got,
he did.
I'm about to get some of this, because
kind of a sad figure, because everything sort of fell apart, and I think he's still living with his parents in State College where he's from. So he's had a hard time. But be that as may, again, I get your point on Greg Schiano. He failed at Tampa, and he succeeded. He's a Jersey guy. He's from New Jersey high school system.
Right.
So maybe he was a perfect fit for Rutgers. I don't know. I know Knoxville. I've been there because I went to Vanderbilt. I went there several times for games in all sports. I'm not sure Greg Schiano would fit the culture in Knoxville, so I give you that. But I do think he's a decent football coach.
I think the thing is where Tennessee made their fatal flaw, Skip, is that when they fired Philip Fulmer with not having an adequate succession plan.
Yep.
And see, it's the same thing Nebraska went through with Frank Solich. It wasn't good enough to win 9 or 10 games.
No.
We're not winning national championships. Well, Philip Fulmer winning 8, 9 games, that's not good enough.
No.
Because you got to win a national championship. Well, if you got to beat Alabama and you got to beat when they get a Cam Newton or you got to beat a Florida with a Tim Tebow, Skip, you're not winning. You're not getting Peyton Manning.
No.
Okay, so until you start getting the Peyton Mannings, the Jamal Lewis's type guys and the Reggie Whites, that's how you compete in that conference with those guys.
You're right.
You can't get 2 and 3 star recruits and says, oh, all of a sudden we're gonna beat Alabama when all they get is 4 and 5. Now Georgia is in the mix. Kirby Smart, he's getting 4 and 5 star recruits.
I agree.
Florida's always gonna be a hotbed. So how do you expect them to compete with that? But John Gruden is one. I love Coach Gruden. He was my brother's position coach at Green Bay. Skip, John Gruden is a guy. He loves the chase. He loves, hey, can I go out with you? Not right. You know, he loves the pursuit. He loves the chase. He ain't really trying to date nobody. He loves when they throw his name out there. You never know. Man, if I went back, he always dropping a little tidbit. If I went back to college, we'd be on probation because I just love to work.
Are you calling Gruden a tease?
He's always throwing that out there, just chumming up, knowing good and well,
agree.
Skip. He's making the kind of money he's making.
He's got a great job.
He worked 20 weeks out of the season. He ain't got to go sit on nobody's couch. He ain't got to knock on anybody's door. He doesn't have to answer to anybody.
And he doesn't have to pick a quarterback because he sure couldn't pick one at Tampa.
But that Johnny Manziel, he'll got you. He'll got you, Joe. I tell you, I take Johnny Manziel and I wouldn't look back. Okay, you wouldn't look back.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Join us again the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.